Hi, Prologue Dan here. You may have noticed that this is actually a re-upload of an episode I did maybe a week or two ago. Well, we actually learned that the previous episode had some things that were a couple red flags here on the platform, so we have decided to re-edit it and re-upload with those things removed. Now, if you've already watched the previous video, don't worry, I made sure to add a little something extra for you. But if you haven't seen the video yet, whether you weren't notified or you didn't see it in your subscription box, please enjoy this review, this in-depth look at Ancient Gods Parts 1 and 2. Come on, Rev, it's Doom. You gotta do it.
No can do, Cybert. Rev doesn't do small potato DLC. Extra souls. Thank you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta dip in the tar pits of evil oil barons.
No Rev on this one.
How about the guy you called to collab with?
Hey, Gilly, what's up? You ready for this collab?
I regret coming here.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of that Cybert channel. I'm Dan Cybert.
And I'm GillyTheKid, somehow still sticking around after being disrespected.
Oh, man. Again, terribly sorry, but I do have good news. We're going back to one of my favorite franchises, Doom. The final Doom Eternal DLC dropped, and it was about a month ago, so as usual, I had that made special. Thank you, Jonathan.
The Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2 are surprisingly dense for only having about a handful of levels per DLC. New enemies, some new mechanics, and a ton of lore. There's so much lore.
And it's lore that completely contradicts itself. I know I'm jumping ahead, but I really got to get this out of my system. But it's like the DLC 1 lore is like contradictory to the DLC 2 lore, but they're kind of different takes. So it's almost like you're just getting the story in different things.
Are you done?
Yeah, sorry. I got excited.
Great! Ancient Gods, while two different DLCs, definitely feels like one full evil stomping outing.
Still, we think this is best to take it one piece at a time, starting with when we last left the Doomslayer, he had just taken down the Icon of Sin. Thanks to his rampage, humanity has been able to start its campaign to reclaim the Earth.
The Slayer has other plans. Determined to put a stop to everything, he sets out to take down the Big Bad himself. To do that, though, he'll need the help of the Seraphim who made him the Slayer in the first place.
So a fair spoiler alert here, because I first want to start off with the story. So if you haven't played the DLC yet, go play it right now. Subscribe, hit the bell, the video will be waiting. You can also go subscribe to Gilly, alright? I can't even just go play the DLC. Always on that YouTube grind.
The story for Part 1 really feels like it's here to tie up some loose ends, such as Vega being confirmed as the father and Samuel Hayden turns out—
Dr. Hayden is the Seraphim. He's been with us the entire time.
Yeah, that. Thanks for stealing my thunder. Jokes aside, this was a fun moment in the DLC. Just having it acknowledge that their big reveal was blown early.
It just goes to show that you can't stop a theorist. Trust me. For someone that's been working for one, they overanalyze everything.
While these reveals didn't surprise a lot of people, having these facts confirmed by id explains so much of Hayden's actions. Even going back to Doom 2016, he's always known more than he leads on, and confirming this as part of the lore really does a lot for the franchise.
But let's talk a bit about the new lore. We learn a lot more about the Father, the Seraphs, and the Life Spheres. Essentially a ball of an entity's being. Initially, I was kind of put off by that choice, but digging into the Codex adds a bit more than just life balls. Also, a lot of the lore will be negated in Part 2, but we'll get there.
Back in the action, though, Hayden's body is falling apart. The only way to help him and stop Hell is to revive the Father completely. So the Slayer does none of that, because screw Hayden, and revives the Dark Lord of Hell instead. I just love the Slayer's character. His only objective is crushing Hell, and no better way to crush Hell than taking on the ultimate evil, an evil version of himself.
I'm not gonna lie, this was a pretty hype moment for me. Of course, the only person worthy of challenging the silent one-man army is an evil copy of himself. The story of the first DLC is incredibly strong. It ties up a lot of loose ends.
Not that there were many, he basically killed them all.
Fact. But it also does a great job of setting up a bigger world and a bigger battle to fight. Speaking of fights, let's talk about how Doom Eternal cranked the difficulty up to break my brain levels. Ancient Gods Part 1 doesn't pull any punches. There's no ease back into it. No small battles in the beginning to get you all warmed up. Basically, the difficulty at the end of the game is the difficulty that the DLC starts at, and it only goes up from here.
Double Marauders. That sets such a high bar, and that is in the first level. Though to be fair, you should be able to handle them no problem at this point. Super shotgun, ballista, rinse and repeat, you know the deal. You also fight tons of the biggest demons in groups, but that's just base game problems.
The demons can now be possessed by Maker spirits, making them unstoppable and boosted as hell. They're definitely a major threat on the battlefield, but not so much dealing with the boosted demon, it's more about getting rid of this nuisance. The ghost busting required to stop them can be annoying and therefore a little difficult, but you got to prioritize them or you have to deal with even more empowered demons.
The spirits are fine, but the bane of my existence is, this little piece of work here. Bloodmakers are terrible. A simple shot to the head pops them into a colorful explosion of ammo, but the window of opportunity you have to actually get a shot in while they let their guard down is slim, and they can easily become a huge problem on the battlefield if you don't take advantage of the infrequent opportunities you have to actually eliminate them. In fact, a lot of people gave the Marauder flack when Eternal first came out because they said he demands your attention and contradicts the combat loop, but if anything, I think this guy does.
Not to mention, if you get hit, they'll tank your mobility, leaving you open to attacks from the dozens of bigger bads around you. I hate these guys, but not as much as the Archviles.
The Archviles can go rot in a pit made completely of rusty spikes as they slowly sink into quicksand that also functions as acid while receiving infinite paper cuts.
And toss in every disease known to man.
You have no idea.
With all of this in mind, these are definitely some of the most stressful levels in the complete game. As much as I'd like to knock them for that, I gotta give it to the developers for building really tough encounters. It's something the franchise did really well in the early days, and it's good to see them continuing it into 2021.
We also have one boss encounter in this DLC with the Seraphim himself, which honestly is a great touch considering the end of Doom 2016 kinda hinted towards him being the target of our next rampage. So getting a chance to knock him around with our arsenal is a great feeling. Not to mention, the boss is pretty good.
There are some extra runes for you to help out, but really you should only be using the one that gives you a chance to reclaim a lost life. And before you can argue against that point,
Ancient Gods Part 2 isn't my favorite of the pair, but it's still very solid. There's a lot of great additions, but I'm getting ahead of Dan's script.
Part 2 starts off with block of text. Okay, let's talk about this quick. I know it's a small thing, but god damn does this epilogue here ruin the entire story. Here's the thing, if you're going to tell a story, don't lay out the exact plot in the beginning text. It literally lays out everything you're gonna do in this DLC. The World Spear, Imora, the ritual combat, and then all of this is repeated during the missions. So what was the point of this block of text?
The epilogue is...
And one more thing.
I see we're not done.
Don't put your biggest twist in the codex entries from 2 levels before. What are you doing? The reveal of exactly who the Dark Lord is would have been such a crazy twist, but I freaking spoiled myself with the game's help. That's bad planning. That's just sloppy.
Yeah, not bad. But, I mean, the story was still pretty good.
Oh yeah, I love the direction it went.
There's a but coming here, huh?
No. Okay, yes, but.
Nah, you got your rant. It's my turn.
Let's talk about the Dark Lord, or his actual name, Devoth. This is such a great direction to take the franchise, but then they did him dirty.
They did him so dirty.
Huge spoilers here, so again, go play the DLC. Devoth, revealed to be the first being and creator of basically everything, gets killed in a 2 to 3 hour DLC, albeit in a rather epic final moment, for the record.
Have you nothing to say to your creator?
But then, that's it. Hell has been defeated. Your crusade is over. But that totally goes against the end of the main game.
Your might is eternal.
So is Doom just over? Where do we even go from here?
Personally, it feels like they wrote themselves into a corner. Hugo Martin has stated that DLC leaves a lot of things to explore for future Dooms, but Doom has been against Hell's Legions forever, since the beginning of the franchise. If the direction is the Wraiths, then Doom just becomes an average sci-fi versus aliens. I mean, with incredible gameplay, but that's not the point. So what happens now? Do we Diablo this franchise now? Just a new evil each game? I agree, this is a great ending to the Slayer's arc, but this story was not DLC. It could
and I would argue should have been bigger.
Rants aside, there are some great moments in Ancient Gods Part 2, from you riding a dragon just to shove it out of the way instead of petting it, discovering the Wraiths were actually aliens who landed on Sentinel Prime, to finally seeing all the Sentinels ride in to take on Hell like it's Endgame. The story has some potential issues for the franchise, but overall it's pretty decent.
Alright, let's get off the story, because where this DLC really shines is in the new additions to the fight. This DLC introduces a handful of new enemies and a new weapon to add to your arsenal, the Sentinel Hammer.
Let's start with the hammer, which honestly, a little upset they didn't give us back the Crucible from the main game, but whatever. The hammer does fit very well as a new utility weapon. Once you figure out how to use it effectively, you can stun lock those difficult enemies while keeping your health and armor up.
But easily the best part about the hammer is how easy it is to charge. Rather than waiting for a charge pickup that is hopefully in front of you, a simple glory kill or weak point puts a cold refreshing charged hammer at your disposal. What do you think about that for an energy drink? Jericho, bring up the prototype. Hit us up if you want to work something out for an energy drink deal.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't need to involve you. Anyway, let's talk about the new demons that need to be ripped apart, which I'll start off by saying I like a lot of these. Rather than just being tougher or faster, most of the new enemies require you to use more of your arsenal. It helps you get to use more than just your favorite weapon.
I just really like the super shotgun.
Who doesn't? I mean, that meat hook, bro.
Well, as much as I love the super shotgun, it's a great touch to the gameplay. It really gets you to use more of your arsenal that may have been put aside. If anything, I think it just makes the game loop have a bit more depth and complexity without making everything impossible.
Except for the cursed prowler. You, sir, are so annoying.
But let's talk about the biggest of the bad, the Dark Lord.
They did him dirty.
Okay, relax, Cybert. The whole battle builds off of one of the most quote-unquote difficult enemies, Marauders, and expands that into a real duel of gods. Every mistake you make here is really felt and requires a balancing act, is something I would have liked to say.
It really is Wait, what?
Alright, so you could fight this by grabbing charges from the hounds, or you could just glory kill the zombies to infinitely charge your hammer, and the entire fight becomes a joke. The most powerful entity in the universe defeated because he wanted a zombie audience.
You could do that?
Did you not do that?
No. I can't believe I didn't do that.
The fight, in theory, is one of the most stressful dances with death, but in practice, it's a demonic game of whack-a-mole. This fight definitely needed more work, but the Dark Lord's death is still cool. Nice. Love it.
The Ancient Gods DLC is incredible in a lot of ways, but it also makes a ton of odd decisions. And I didn't even get to talk about how we left gothic sci-fi for a more high fantasy approach. I really could.
The Ancient Gods really takes the entire Doom Eternal game and makes it easily one of the best games on the market. I mean, it's definitely one of my personal favorite games ever.
If you have Doom Eternal, I would even say this is an essential piece to your Doom experience. So pick it up and put an end to hell. Oh, sorry, hold on.
This is the most unprofessional video I've ever been a part of.
Hello?
What did you do, Cybert?
Huh?
The Dark Lord is dead, and all the demons outside of hell evaporated. I'm literally trapped here.
Ah, no, that sucks.
You wanted me to get out of hell so you could melt me.
You got me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You almost got me.
Almost.
Oh, I'll find a way out. I'll get you good.
The hell is wrong with those two?
Hi, I'm Dan Cybert from the video you just watched. We had a lot of fun today, but I'd like to talk to you about something serious. Millions just like Rev are trapped because of the fall of the Dark One, and you can help them get to a portal once again. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to turn on notifications. You can even go the extra mile by becoming a channel member down below. Don't forget, you can subscribe to Gilly by clicking his face right here on the end card. A special thanks to Q and Ray of Sunshine and all these channel members for already helping the fight to get the portals back up. Seriously, we need Rev here, and you can help. Thank you.